welcome to the Shankly Gates Podcast. I'm Grace, and this week I'm joined by Kieran, Dan, and Dave to talk all things transfer window and to preview Liverpool's game against Cardiff. So, I don't know about you, but I thought that the transfer window was going to be pretty quiet for us. I wasn't expecting us to bring anyone in. I saw a lot of people that said on Twitter that they worked for the club and they'd asked if they could take the weekend off because Liverpool didn't have a game and they didn't think they were going to sign anyone. But as we know now, Liverpool did sign. They did sign Luis Diaz on the final day of the transfer window. So we'll start with you, Dan. What did you make of the signing of Diaz?
Yeah, I mean, delighted, like you touched upon. I think we all expected. And to be honest with you, it wasn't just an expectancy. It was all the noises coming out from all the people we usually hear from, James Pearce in particular, saying it was going to be a quiet window. And, Ian Doyle come out and said it's going to be a quiet January, but summer's going to be busy. And then all of a sudden, we're signing Diaz and potentially Carvalho. I think we were lucky in the Diaz sense, in as much as we probably did want to do it in the summer. But interest from Tottenham made us act. And I think Porto probably said, listen, it's now or never, because they obviously needed the money for a UEFA thing that was going on. So, yeah, listen, made up. I think it's much needed competition. It keeps us in really good strength for the rest of the season. And, yeah, happy days. He looks, let's be honest, he looks like an absolute baller. So happy to welcome into this squad.
I don't know how much you've seen of him, Kieran, but from what I've seen on videos, he looks like a really promising player. Do you think the same?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And the one that stood out, I don't know if you've seen it, I can't remember which game it was in the Champions League, where he puts one right into the top corner and you see the angle from behind it. That and the goal against City as well at the Etihad, where he takes on about 6 or 7 of them and sticks it in the corner. So, I mean, if he's going to do that for us, I'd more than welcome him to the side. Yeah, I'd agree with Dan. I think our hand, was forced because I think, obviously Spurs were heavily linked with him. So we had to get it. We had to get in there while we could. Otherwise, we'd have faced losing him. So, we had to do that deal. I wasn't, expecting much. I was expecting, like you all, to be, pretty quiet. That comes out the blue and, absolutely made up. That's going to strengthen our chances for everything this season, 100%. It's what we need. Certainly backup numbers going forward. That's going to, competition certainly for Mane there. It's definitely something to think about. So I think on the whole, definitely very positive. And I am like all of us, I can't wait to see him in a red shirt.
What do you think, Dave? Obviously, we just talked about competition then, and Dan mentioned it before we went live about the fact that Mane, could we see Mane disappear to the bench because of Luis Diaz? What do you think about all that?
Well, Dan's been banging on about competition for Mane for weeks, as people know, watch the podcast, and he's got it. I think long term, it's obviously going to be the case. Diaz is going to take over from Mane. Mane's approaching 30. Contract runs out next summer, I believe. So there's a decision to be made in the front three, definitely. This is almost certainly a route forward. You've got Jota who's in there. Diaz comes in. I mean, there's rumours maybe Harvey Elliott, but I think he's quite good in midfield. So there might be another space in the front three where the Kate Gordon comes through. It's certainly a move for the future, but he also provides you the here and now. He's got the pedigree to come into this team week in, week out and play and score. And let's face it, oust Mane out of the team because he's been, by his standards, average this season. Mane's been fantastic serving for Liverpool. He's been amazing to watch. He's given us some amazing memories and what a player. But this season, for his standards, he's been quite poor. So maybe this is the little. This might just light a flame under his backside and get him playing well again. But we'll see.
I really like Mane, so I hate it when you say that. Oh, he's not been at his best this
season.
Hasn't,
though, has he? He's been relatively poor.
Poor though.
Yeah, for his standards.
A high standard though.
For his standards, he's been poor.
High standard.
I still haven't forgiven for missing that chance at Leicester, to be honest. That is very heavily in my opinion.
As you can tell, Dave clearly holds a grudge, everyone.
Massively so.
His numbers would suggest that he's done okay, but when you watch him week in, week out, like we all do, his decision making has definitely suffered. What's brought that about, I'm not quite sure, but he seems to have this habit now of making the wrong call, whether it be to pass. He's passing when he should be going alone, and he's going alone when he should be passing. It's just arguably as simple as that. And I think he suffered last year with confidence, and he hasn't seemed to bounce back from it yet. So Dave's right. You know, this Diaz deal, it can go one or two ways, kind of, for a player. I have been talking about competition for Mane in the hope it would reignite him. And of course, it could well do. But if it doesn't, there is a serious decision to be made, because obviously we all want the Salah contract to be done, because let's be honest with you, you know, he's the best player in the world and he deserves it. We can't say that about Sadio Mane right now. And the way this club is run, they are not likely to let somebody as valuable as Sadio Mane is in terms of an asset leave for free next year. That's not going to happen. So unless Mane has a serious upsurge in form towards the end of this season, I'm not sure he's in line for a new deal right now. That's, you know, all up in the air, but that's just the way I see it.
What do you think, Kieran? Where does he fit into your starting 11?
I mean, I think at the minute he just about keeps his place, because the tendency is just you try and bed people in slowly. So I think certainly for the next few weeks or so, you know, he'll be okay. You know, probably, you know, start the game. Diaz probably look to come on as sub. You know, injury dependent. But, you know, as Dan said, I think we are in for a massive summer. There are definitely questions that need to be answered. And I mean, maybe the next 4 months or so, you know, answers those questions. Maybe it doesn't. We don't know. You know, he's like we say, certainly got the, you know, the kick up the backside now. There's someone waiting there, you know, who's done it, at big levels, big Champions League level. So if he can transfer that to, you know, Premier League, then, you know, like I say, certainly things are going to be answered. That's a decision that the club have got to make in the summer, because, you know, 100% the club don't want to let him go on a free. You know, I don't see that happening at all. So, you know, I'm just sort of, you know, sitting here sort of shrugging my shoulders. Now the next 4 months for me are massive for both of them and the football club.
Yeah, I agree. And the only other thing I was going to say about Diaz is there's often been this thing that Liverpool don't have enough money and don't have the money to sign players. So, Dave, for you, did you think that 37.5 million was a reasonable fee for Diaz? And also, does it concern you that we might end up losing the likes of Minamino and Origi in the summer to make up for that cost?
Very reasonable, considering Porto were wanting 60 million at one point, and it looks like Julian Ward's got the Michael Edwards genes of let's just get the price down to nearly half price. And obviously, a lot's being made of 37.5 million, but it does rise to 50 million. Liverpool will see that as 50 million. And I said this on the podcast on Monday night. They won't just see it as 50 million, they'll see it as his wages all added up and his bonuses all added up. Could be 70, 80 million's worth of investment that Liverpool have put aside. They won't just say it's 37.5 million. It's a lot more than that. So, I mean, we've spoke about FSG a lot in the past, and they always back the manager when needed. You look in the summer, Canate was needed, a centre-back, they got him. Obviously, Diaz was on track to be signed in the summer. Tottenham come sniffing around. It just happened straight away. So for me, I think, you know, when Liverpool need to do the business, they get it in. What was the other thing you asked me at the end? I forgot.
I said about Origi and Minamino.
Oh,
do you think
yeah.
we'd have to lose them too?
Not interested in Divock Origi leaving the club, to be honest with you.
Getting the winner at Wembley.
Wow.
No, I'm not interested. I think he's out of contract anyway in summer, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can walk away a hero for me. I don't want to see him sign a new contract. Minamino's a bit of a weird one. I quite like Minamino. I think he's all right. I think he offers you something a little bit different and he's got a little bit about him. Whereas Origi, for me, just unless he's going to score you this mad, ridiculous goal that just comes out of nowhere, which I don't know. Saying that, would you rather have someone who scores you a goal or someone who just looks good on the ball? But I don't know. Divock Origi just needs to that's it. His time's done. Let's just go, Divock. You've had a great run, lad. We'll always remember you're a cult hero on your bike. But yeah, Minamino.
Dan, I feel like you were really shaking your head then about Minamino. I feel like you were just disagreeing there.
Not necessarily disagreeing. He's one who divides opinion, isn't he, Minamino?
Yeah.
Already, it seems. I like him. I do like him. I just don't see him ever getting a first team role in this Liverpool side. I don't see that ever happening. I think he's got great versatility, because there's a conversation on deadline day about You know, because they were both linked to moves away on the day of Origi. Which one would you rather see go? And it was Origi for me because of Minamino's versatility and the contract situation. But aside from versatility and looking sort of okay in many roles, I don't see where Minamino fits in. You know, we signed Jota, and you think there's a lad who can realistically grab one of these first team places now. Minamino can't do that. So I always just think if you're going to have someone constantly on the fringes, at some point they've got to move. Like that can't be a career. You don't, unless you're a reserve goalkeeper, backup keeper. You don't have a career of constantly being on the bench. That's not a thing. So I'm more pessimistic about his future at Liverpool, to be honest with you. I think I agree with Dave on Origi. I think he goes regardless. And I love having all these attacking options. Like, we could name 7 genuine senior options right now. And, you know, other Liverpool fans and fans of other clubs say, why don't you just like crack on with Mane, Diaz, Origi, Minamino, etc.? But that's not how this club works. We are long enough in the tooth supporting this club under FSG to know that isn't a viable option. If it was Man City, we'd all go, oh, great, yeah, we've got hundreds of attackers. We don't do that. So we all know something is going to happen on the Mane and Firmino front. You know what I mean? So you've just said there, Grace, like, we've spent this money on Diaz. Does that mean we're going to sell so-and-so? And that's always the way we have to look at things.
Who would you rather see go, Kieran, Origi or Minamino?
Probably Origi. I probably would tend to agree with the others. I mean, I definitely agree. I don't see Minamino breaking into any front three at all. He's, at the minute, the sort of player that comes on after about 75, 80 minutes in a game when you're 2 or 3 up, really, and plays, you know, League Cup, FA Cup, or, you know, your occasional Champions League game to rotate. So, no, he you know, I'm very interested when he did sign because, you know, seeing the what he did for Salzburg, you know, was fantastic. But I don't think he's quite, you know, hit the ground running. And then obviously when you tend to, you know, send a player out on loan as he did to Southampton, doesn't quite, rubber stamp his exit. But you know, at the time, I thought, you know, is he expendable here? So it's great having options. You know, having, you know, 7 across, you know, the front is wonderful. But I think Origi goes, but again, Minamino just we set a really, really high standard, of course, but I don't think he's ever gonna, you know, match that.
Can I just say as well, Grace, sorry.
Yeah.
I think the writing was on the wall for Minamino when he did go on loan to Southampton, and again earlier on this season by what Klopp said about him. So I know we've probably said this before when Klopp said he's a bit lightweight and he's a bit small, so we've sent him to Southampton like he's going to grow. Like at Southampton, not going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
South Coast air.
Yeah, the South Coast air and a bit more sun and, you know, photosynthesis is going to shoot him up a foot. Not going to happen. And he also said earlier on this season when Salah and Mane went on AFCON, he was like, he is so important. We really need him to play. And the next game, he was on the bench.
And also on that, Dave, I think he played about 41 minutes while Salah and Mane were away at AFCON.
Yeah.
That isn't a glowing indictment of where Minamino's at. And not only that, just to finish on this whole point, in my opinion, when Liverpool are looking, or we're looking for an attacking option to come and change the game off a bench, Minamino is often overlooked. And if that's happening to one of your last remaining forward options, that doesn't bode. And also, as well, every time there's a transfer window, he's linked with a move. He's only been here, 24 months. I love the kid, and that Leicester goal was brilliant, but I just don't see where it's going to happen long term for him.
But we're going to make money on him.
I don't think he fits in. Yeah.
So it's all good.
I don't think he fits in, to be honest. I think he also gets dispossessed really easily when he's on the ball, which just winds me up, to be brutally honest with you. Origi, I think Origi's got a career in fashion lined up, because if you've seen his Instagram, he's literally just chilling in ski gear, like absolutely loving life. So he's just going to go into fashion or something. His football career will just plummet to the floor, because I think he's
his
living
football
on
career
glory
fell
anyway.
to the floor about 3 years ago. To be honest with you, after he scored that goal in the Champions League, finally just sort of went, "Oh, that's me done."
Well,
he's living on glory for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Like I say, I think Mane's listening to us. He's just scored a third to sell a goal anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, I like him. That weren't my doing.
We all like him. Yeah. We all love him to pieces.
I love him. Absolutely.
We absolutely adore the man. I think he's incredible. His form has suffered, and this club, that's what we do. So,
see ya.
Yeah. Right, we've got to talk about Carvalho because obviously we narrowly missed out on signing him on the final day of the transfer window. But for me, I actually don't feel like bothered in the slightest that we didn't sign him this window because we weren't going to get him until the summer anyway. Fulham wanted to keep hold of him until the summer anyway. So, Kieran, do you think it makes a massive difference that we've missed out on this opportunity?
I think I tend to agree with you. Not really. I mean, I don't really buy the fact we didn't get him because we ran out of time. Because if you want someone, you get them. Ties should never be an issue. But he is out of contract in the summer, so I think we wait till then. Obviously, it gets a little complicated. I thought obviously the Neco Williams situation, which we will touch on in a bit, him going the other way, which I thought was a little strange. But for me, I'm not overly worried. I think we get him in the summer. He helps Fulham get into the Premier League. I've got no doubts about that. They're quite a way clear in the Championship now, anyway. So yeah, I think we wait in the summer. If we'd have signed him, obviously the talk would have been whether we'd loaned him back or if he'd have played for us. I don't think he'd have played for us at all. Business end of the season. So I'm not overly worried. I'm happy to leave that one to the summer.
How did you feel about that, Dan?
Similar. Well, to be honest with you, I was gutted when we didn't get it over the line because I had reservations. I thought we were really smart, actually, in securing it when we tried to, because loaning him back would have also kept Fulham happy and allowed him to continue developing there whilst owning him as a footballer, which is sort of the key point in all of that, because come the summer, there's going to be other clubs sniffing around him. Now, if we've done all the groundwork and we've kind of boxed it before we've boxed it, then happy days, because the talk is since we failed in the move that it's pretty much a done deal regardless, which is fine. However, when you see European clubs become interested, they don't pay the compensation that we do either. Plus, we've already been down the compensation route with Fulham and Harvey Elliott. It just becomes a little bit murky for both clubs. So I thought it was a really good move trying to do it when we did. Obviously, we didn't get it through. I think he looks a wonderful player, by the way. I think he looks class. Everyone said it. It's not earth-shattering stuff, but Philip Coutinho Mark II there just looks every inch an attacking midfielder. Like, he looks brilliant.
For his age as well, like he's only so young, isn't he?
19.
So you just think to have that talent at 19 is just on another level.
And it's something that we've become really good at. If you look at, obviously, Kay Gordon, Elliott himself, Curtis Jones knocking around, adding Carvalho, happy days. Yeah, so I was gutted because I just don't want it to get complicated in the summer. Signing him on deadline day would have got rid of all that issue. So, yeah, it's a shame, but like I say, hopefully we've just got it there waiting for when that summer market opens.
What did you think about that, Dave? Where does he fit into your Liverpool starting 11?
Long term, I don't know. Front three, maybe in the midfield three. We can, as Dan said, maybe like a Coutinho where you can do a bit of both. It was very, very anxious on deadline day where we just didn't have a clue what was going on, what the rules with the EFL were, and have we got a deal sheet in and what's happening. Apparently, I was reading in The Athletic that his agents and stuff are quite complex. He's managed by like some company and it's quite difficult to do a deal with, so that's probably took a bit of time. I can't figure out whether Fulham have shot themselves in the foot or we have, because Fulham, if they accepted 5 million, would have sealed obviously 5 million quid for someone who's out of contract in the summer. Whereas, as Dan alluded to, anyone in Europe now, the likes of Borussia Dortmund, Sevilla, whoever else is interested in him, can now get him for 500 grand. Like, that's worth a punt, isn't it? Regardless if he makes it in the first team or he's going to get sold on. So I don't know whether Fulham have shot themselves in the foot, but then if we do end up going to a tribunal and we've agreed on 8 million, that's then going to set the precedent for the tribunal of 8 million. And I don't know whether we've shot ourselves in the foot there or not. My only real issue with the whole thing is, like, as anxious as it was to find out whether we'd signed them or not, if he really wants to sign for Liverpool Football Club, he will sign for Liverpool Football Club. He's free to. So if he doesn't and he goes somewhere else, we've dodged the bullet because he didn't really want to play for us. He just fancied the money and stuff. Obviously, he's got links with Harvey Elliott and they played together. And he's obviously seen how much Harvey Elliott's come on in the team, and he'd be a bit daft not to want to follow that example. And the opportunity will be there for him, I'm assuming, if Klopp really likes him. And, I hate to mention it, but Klopp's contract runs out and not next season, the end of next season. He's obviously looking for people for the future, and he could be one of them. So he'd be daft not to sign for us. We'll just have to wait and see.
I think the fact that Nico Williams has gone to Fulham on loan, that to me seems bizarre. It seems like it was meant to be a swap, and it's not happened as a swap. So now, where are we at? Type of R. Dan, what do you think?
I think that's a really good call, to be honest with you, Grace. And I think it was sort of like a you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours kind of deal in terms of, obviously he was going back there anyway, Carvalho, to help them in their promotion push, but it was almost like a sweetener in the deal from Liverpool's point of view, because Nico Williams is a good player. He could have got a Premier League move lower down the table, in my opinion. So for him to go to Fulham is a bit of a statement, and it is a bit ironic they were having all them dealings with Fulham. So there's definitely something in that. What I will say on that, though, is the fact that that deal still got done is a positive, because we still need Fulham to play the part in this. Although Carvalho is going to be a free agent, you still want to keep relations sweet, and you don't want any bad blood there. And with Nico Williams going there, all things point towards Carvalho becoming a Liverpool player in the summer, which is the important factor in all of this. And let's hope that Nico Williams has a good second half of the season, for his own sake, our sake, and this deal's sake.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I rate Nico Williams as a player, but I think he doesn't start in our starting 11. So for me, surely going out on loan gives him more game time and more experience, which can only be a good thing. Kieran, what did you make of that move?
It worries me a little bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, good player and all that. He's never going to reach the levels of Trent. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, Liverpool getting injuries in certain positions or whatever. If Trent goes, for me, the way I look at it, if Trent goes down, what do we do? Because we're in a position now where, in theory, we're chasing a quadruple here. We could very easily, do it. So,
you know what happens when people mention injuries on this podcast? I'm not going to say what I said. I'm Van Dijk and all. It was all on me. So,
Spence Alexander-Arnold injured the weekend.
Yeah, look for, but that's the way I think. I mean, he never gets there. Trent plays most games we know anyway. So, but again, flip side of the argument goes of going to Fulham Championship. Learn his trade even more there. Playing for a free attacking team there. If he gets a service to Mitrovic and co, and Carvalho is there. Fantastic for him. He definitely learn his trade there, and he'd be getting plenty of assists with the way they finished. Anyway, the amount of goals they've got this season. So, go for the lad. He's going to get out playing first team football 2-3 times a week, certainly from now till May. So that can only be good for him. I just look at it that please stay fit, Trent, because otherwise we're back to James Milner again, aren't we?
Joe Gomez.
Yeah.
Conor
Okay.
Bradley.
Yeah.
Conor Bradley. I'd rather have Conor Bradley.
It shows a lot of faith in Conor Bradley that they let Nico Williams go, in my opinion. Listen, the thing is, Kieran, you are right, obviously, but the drop-off is so massive from Trent to pretty much anyone that it's one of them, isn't it? We don't want Trent to get injured regardless. Nico Williams would have been a nice option, but I think he is showing real signs of intent in his own football career. He's looking at the Liverpool and Trent situation and going, I'm not going to play for 10 years here, so I need to go and play. And people mention the World Cup or Wales, but if you're in the Liverpool squad, you get in the Wales squad regardless. With all due respect, Wales are picking place in the Championship and League One. And they're doing well, by the way, but that's where their pool is. So I don't buy that argument. But yeah, it's a difficult one. And I like Nico Williams too, but ultimately I think he's someone similar to Minamino in a way. He's got this versatility. He's not a bad option, but ultimately I just don't see where he fits into this Liverpool first team.
What did you make of that move, Dave?
Very interesting move, as you say, to see him move on, and the whole situation of Carvalho not going through. I think it's for the best. And also you see, like Dan was saying, it was a bit of a sweetener and it was the right move to keep Carvalho on track. I know we're going to come to Nat Phillips in a minute, and Bournemouth paid a loan fee for him, whereas Fulham weren't expected to pay a loan fee for Nico Williams. Little things like that all add up. look, the lads have already said it. He's probably never going to dislodge Trent from right back, unless for some miraculous reason Klopp decides, actually, I will play Trent in centre midfield, which I don't see happening. It's very difficult to see Nico Williams having a future ahead of just being a backup right back. He came into the team a very, very young player, and he made quite a lot of mistakes, and he got some unfair stick. You'll remember, I think he deactivated his Twitter and his Instagram at one point after the game, which was just so harsh on a young lad of his age. I think he was like 18 at the time. He stuck around, and he's always been sort of in with the chance of playing under Klopp. He's been unfortunate that Trent's played many games, and then obviously you've got James Milner there, who just, if anyone gets injured, just throw Millie in. That'll do. And next season, I thought this season he might kick on and do a bit, and he kind of has in a more advanced role. He's played quite advanced, hasn't he? And he's showed a little bit of versatility. And I don't know whether next season now might be, he's played well for Fulham, let's sell him. Or, okay, you've played well for Fulham, now's your chance, we're going to start giving you some game time. I don't know. But as Dan alludes to, Conor Bradley looks like a decent fullback as well. So I'm not too concerned about him leaving. And I just hope that he plays a lot of football, does well, and comes back full of confidence.
Yeah, definitely. And you touched on Nat Phillips there, so I'll start with you because I've been to everyone else before you, so I should start.
I get to go first.
Well done. I like Nat at Liverpool. I thought he played really well, and obviously you've seen like all of that video of the Cruyff turn he did against AC Milan and how viral that popped off on social media because it was brilliant. And I just think he's proved why he's with Liverpool, and he's shown his qualities and that he is a good defender. And put him next to the likes of Van Dijk, I feel quite happy with him in defence. How did you feel about him going to Bournemouth?
Overall, very happy for him to actually be going somewhere where he plays football. I thought it was a bit of a weird place for him to end up. He's not your stereotypical ball-playing defender, which is what Scott Parker likes, and Bournemouth like to keep the ball, and obviously they're challenging for promotion. Look, he's a great centre back even, and we spoke a little bit about Origi's cult hero status before. Nat Phillips will always be a bit of a cult hero at Liverpool, purely for just winning every single header he's ever gone up for in his entire life. That Cruyff turn at Milan, that picture of him and Reece Williams at the end of last season when we got in the Champions League. So many things, and we've said it so many times. Dan says it all the time. We wouldn't be in the Champions League if it wasn't for the likes of Nat Phillips stepping in and doing his job. And unfortunately, he's not really going to get in the Liverpool first team. I personally thought he was fourth choice centre back. Joe Gomez has just fell off a cliff for me. He just looks half a shell of a person, shell of a player he was before his injury, and it might be due to his injury psychologically. So he was fourth choice for me. I
also think that's down to his game time now. Do you not think he's not
a little bit? Yeah, a little bit. But then,
back
well, you look at Van Dijk, who's had a similar length of period out, and he's just come back like he hasn't even been gone. Whereas Gomez is just, he come on against Arsenal in the League Cup in the first leg, and he sent that ball over to Minamino, and he just completely missed it. And I said to me, "Dad, come out, we're going. This is going to finish 0-0. Now that he's come on, we're off." And that's the level that he's sort of fell down to for me. You just think it's game over. Everything he's done in the last few games has just been poor. So, look, I get that Liverpool are trying to get Phillips out on loan, and I think last January or in the summer? It might have been last January to give him a new contract, or it was the summer, wasn't it, to give him a new contract? And I think that was very much just to keep his value high. And I think they've probably tried to get him sold for 15 million this window. I think the Burnley bid 7 or 8 million, which Liverpool just aren't gonna accept. He's better than that. They've sent him out on loan. They'll try and go again in the summer. I think they're trying to not get rid of him like how he's no good, get rid of him, but that's Liverpool's business model, isn't it? Like we said about Minamino, he signed him for 7 million and probably sell him for 20. You've made money on him. I think that's what we do. So I think he's all part of the process. And good luck to him. Good luck to him. He deserves a good move. He deserves to play football, and I hope he does well.
What do you think about that, Kieran? Obviously, him getting more game time can only be a positive thing, I think.
Oh, absolutely. From his point of view, I mean, he is an unsung hero. He's one of the reasons why we got in the top 4 last season. I mean, with Adam, we possibly definitely struggle. I mean, we don't make the top 4. The chain reaction down the line. So I absolutely made up for him. Yeah, again, as Dave, I was surprised he went to Bournemouth. I'm not sure how he's going to fit in there, so that will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. But for what he did for us, won every header. Fought from minute 1. couldn't actually rate him highly enough when he was here. So, absolutely good luck to him. He's got a great, promising career ahead of him. I think gets into the Premier League, soonish, the next 1 or 2 years. Certainly can establish himself. You look how Conor Cody went down to the Championship and that with Sheffield United and came up with Wolves. So I see that type of career for him, and absolutely all the best to him.
You massively rate Nat Phillips, Dan, don't you? What did you think about that move?
Yeah, it's hard not to massively rate Nat Phillips. I actually thought the move was a little bit harsh in a way. I think, listen, it's good that he's going to play football. Fair play to him for sticking around for the first 6 months, because with all the centre-backs we had coming back from injury, it was hard to know where they were going to be at. And like Dave mentions, Joe Gomez is miles off it. And we could have feasibly had him, Joel Matip and Van Dijk all miles off it for various reasons. So Nat Phillips was always there as a bit of a safety net. And fair play to him for kind of agreeing to do that. So the fact he's going to play football is really good. I'm quite surprised not more Premier League clubs took a punt on him, to be honest. Certainly Premier League clubs fighting for the life down the bottom. Your Burnleys, Dave mentions they were interested. Watford, I think they had a partial interest. Newcastle, Newcastle go and spend it on Dan Burn. And listen, Dan Burn's not a bad player, but Nat Phillips played Premier League for us and Champions League last season and did really well in the same breath. So I was surprised there wasn't more interest, to be honest with you. He has his limitations, doesn't he? Let's all be honest. And his limitations are essentially pace and a little bit of ball playing ability, which probably mean he's not a centre-back for Liverpool. But he is a centre-back for the Premier League because he defends brilliantly. And not all teams try and play out from the back and try and hold this high line like we do. We look at Nat Phillips and say, oh, no, it's not quite going to work long-term for us. But, God, he is. If there was ever a man made to play centre-half for a Sean Dyche Burnley, it's Nat Phillips. And that sounds really harsh, but it's not. He's absolutely designed for that role. You know what I mean? So, like I say, made up for him. Good that he's going to play football. He eventually will be sold. If he has a good few months here, we might get that 15 million we want. Happy days. But I was surprised more clubs didn't go for him. Even West Ham, they needed a centre-half with Ogbonna being out. Nat Phillips would have been ideal. Don't get that. Weird.
And even Newcastle, mate. I'm surprised Newcastle never went in for him because they were desperate, weren't they? And they got Dan Burn, who's arguably a left-back.
Also, just to say on that, Norwich as well, they've given themselves a fighting chance, right? Ozan Kabak's there. Now, we saw both of them last season for Liverpool. Which one was better? You know what I mean?
Phillips.
If they throw 10, 12 million at Nat Phillips, they give themselves even more of a chance. So I think a few teams down the bottom have missed the boat as well. And Bournemouth, fair play. It's given them a good shout at getting out of that division now.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he could have gone to Premier League opposition. I think Burnley definitely, you can just see him in that back four for Burnley without a shadow of a doubt. But obviously it was his choice. He's gone to Bournemouth. What can we do? Right, so let's look ahead to Liverpool's game against Cardiff. Then we face them in the FA Cup on Sunday. Obviously, we just had a winter break. Kieran, do you think this will be a walk in the park for Liverpool?
I mean, it should be. But you can never know. It's the cup, isn't it? You can't be saying walk in the park in Liverpool. It just doesn't happen.
Doesn't sit well with me, that.
No. You look at the last round in control against Shrewsbury, and all of a sudden you're 1-0 down. So that there's definitely problems. I mean, I look at the league table. I hadn't seen the Championship in a while. Saying at the bottom half, and Cardiff is struggling this season. So you either look at it two ways from their point of view. One, they are struggling, form will dictate that they might struggle, or they might just see this as a complete, free hit for them. But I think the big point for this is what team both go with, because obviously, we're not going to play a full strength side, but I don't think they are either. I think they're looking over their shoulders at, relegate. If they go to League One, that's massive for them. They need to stay up. So I think both teams are going to be, reasonably rotated here, so it's going to probably be a bit of a distorted game. I mean, well, we haven't played in a little while, so that'll be interesting to see what team Jürgen comes up with. In Cardiff, we played a couple of times, so they'll have a reasonable idea. So no, it should be an interesting. I'm going to obviously back us all the way. We should, and to be honest, we could play anyone at home. I'd back us in the cup. So for me, I do see Liverpool coming out on top in this one.
I think for me, I've said so much in like recent years about Liverpool and complacency. We're the type of side that go in thinking, "Oh, we'll win this," and then at half time you're thinking, "What the bloody hell has happened to us? Like we've just fell completely down the radar. Like what on earth has happened to us?" And I think that could potentially be an issue on Sunday. Dave, do you think the same?
Now that you said it'd be a walk in the park, yeah. I mean, look, let's look at the form. Cardiff, I'm just looking now, they're 7 points away from relegation, where they've played a game more than Peterborough as well in the drop zone. Not what you'd expect from Cardiff City, who've already sacked the manager this season, and Mick McCarthy. Always up and around them promotion places, and sometimes in the Premier League. I think 2014-15 might have been the last time, maybe later, can't remember. So, I mean, it's one of them, isn't it? You're going against a team who, as Kieran says, are probably more interested in staying in the Championship first and foremost. And, okay, a day out at Anfield's great. They've just lost Kiefer Moore as well, which is massive. Yeah. He's gone to Bournemouth. I know they've got Jordan Hugill in on loan, who's been at West Brom earlier this season, but, I think he scored on his debut as well, which is good. But, I mean, we should be beating them. It all depends on what type of team he puts out. I think, do you maybe see the likes of Tyler Morton come back in, which I'd be pleased with? I think Tyler Morton's a good player. Is that the type of team we roll out? But then we've had, as you say, a week or two off. We don't play again till Thursday night against Leicester. It's impossible to say who's going to play. I mean, I think Kelleher will probably be in goal because he's the cup keeper by the looks of things. And then after that, who knows? I mean, Joe Gomez.
What would your ideal scenario be? Like, who would you?
In terms of team selection?
Yeah.
Well, you go Kelleher in goal. I think you're going to have to play probably Gomez right back. But then you're leaving yourself short. It's again the Nico Williams situation. We'll put Connor Bradley in at right back. Joe Gomez and probably Canate. Yeah, because I mean, Canate and Matip for me are quite close, but Matip just seems to take the edge at the minute, doesn't he? Probably
Matip on those runs forward. I just really want him to score one. He needs to score one.
He's gone out this season. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming, and it's going to be absolute scenes when he does. You're looking at Tyler Morton, James Milner. Don't know who else will go in midfield. I know Thiago's back in training. But Curtis Jones, you'd say, is probably in our strongest midfield three at the moment.
Thiago's back.
Yeah, I suppose. So throw Curtis Jones in there, and then the Minamino's not going to play, is he? Let's face it.
Origi?
Yeah, give Divock a go in the cup, yeah, it's hard. I think Origi, Minamino and Gade Gordon up front. Let's have a go with that. No, I think Jota or Firmino will probably play, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Firmino might come in as well.
Yeah, one of them will probably play, if not both. And that, in effect, should be enough to beat Cardiff City, let's be honest. But if they turn up the wrong attitude, you can play any team. You can play a full-strength team. If you turn up the wrong attitude, you'll get knocked out.
What do you think, Dan? You're confident for Sunday?
Yeah, you got to be confident for a game against, like the lads have touched upon, a team that are struggling in the Championship. And it's not so much their form that gives us confidence. It's the fact that I honestly think they will be more frightened of the league than they will focusing on getting into the fifth round of the FA Cup. Because the Championship is relentless. Fixtures don't stop. They've played a lot over this little break that we've had, and it's not going to stop there. It just gets more and more relentless. So they won't be willing to risk anyone particularly. It won't be a terrible side, but it won't be the full strength either. And the Kiefer Moore situation is, it sounds mad to say, but whenever Premier League and Liverpool in particular come up against, that old school style centre forward, because Kiefer Moore is an absolute monster. You do worry a bit because it's not something you face every week in the Premier League. So I was quite glad when he moved on because Jordan Hugill doesn't present the same threat, really. He's physical and he gets about, but not like Kiefer Moore. He's all elbows and headers. He's horrible. So, yeah, listen, I'm confident, of course I am. I think team-wise, similar to Dave. But I think the main sort of thing is get through the game, obviously. Nice, comfortable afternoon out. Get some minutes back into some legs. But most importantly, let's see Harvey Elliott again. And let's possibly see Luis Diaz again, because I believe he's sort of on Merseyside tomorrow, should we say? So you never know.
That'd be nice.
In the mix, yeah. I hope, hopefully. Well, I can't wait to see Harvey Elliott again. I think we're all very ready to see him because he come on massively, and then got unluckily hit with an injury. So I'm sure we can't all wait for that. So let's finish on your score predictions then, Kieran. What do you think the score will be on Sunday?
I've got to be relatively comfortable. I think I'll go 4-1. Nice little safely through.
4. Wow. Dan, go on.
3-0. We don't concede here.
Go on, Dave.
8-0. Easy.
Divock Origi, 7 goals.
Yeah. Origi and Minamino to just score 4 each and just silence the critics.
Whilst Mane wins AFCON as well later on.
That'd be nice.
I absolutely love that. Right. Thank you so much for today, everyone. And thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you all soon on the Shankly Gates podcast.